Hi friends, welcome back to my channel Modern Quantity Surveyor Key Skills to Have. Let's talk about the mandatory competency, health and safety, and information about occupational hygiene and health. So, occupational health considers the physical and mental effects of work on health, including health issues that develop over time, referred to as chronic, and assists an RICS regulated firm in ensuring its employees are fit for their work through health assessment, promotion, maintenance, and surveillance. The risk of work activities or materials causing acute illness, that is, that illness which comes sharply to a crisis or is severe, is also a possibility and should be considered at all times. While working in an office environment, it's generally considered lower risk, but many RICS members are exposed to higher occupational health risk in the course of their duties when away from the office. So, an occupational health and safety management system should include occupational health monitoring and include arrangements for managing the following matters such as work related stress, health, well being, mental health, violence, bullying and harassment, alcohol and drug misuse, musculoskeletal disorders, RSIs, noise, asbestos, and so on. We will look one by one into each of these occupational health related issues. Work-related stress is the most common one or the most common occupational health issue. It's described as adverse reactions that individuals may suffer due to excessive pressure or other types of demand placed on them at work. Now, there are six key areas of work management standards which cover the primary sources of stress, and they are demands, that is, the workload, work patterns, and the work environment, the control, like how much say the person has in the way they do their work, support, encouragement, sponsorship, and resources which are provided to the staff, relationships, promoting positive working or dealing with unacceptable behavior, the role, understanding roles and no conflicts, change, management of organization change, whether large or small. If these six key areas are not properly managed, there will be poor health and well being, lower productivity, and increased sickness absence. Or, in other words, the related work related stress will increase. Health, well being, and mental health. Many organizations are looking to implement well being policies. For example, the police in Japan, they have suggested that work-related problems are a key factor in the suicide increase among 50 to 59 years olds. So, well-being is generally understood to represent the efforts that organizations implement to encourage all-round health for their employees, and this includes consideration of the non-work related issues which affect people, like the life stresses and strains which affect people from time to time and part of their life experience, as well as their general fitness and health. Now, many initiatives are placed by the human resources teams in their companies for well-being of the staff, which include health clinics, membership to gyms, support to buy bicycles, smoking cessation clinics, nurseries for children, access to pets, and many other benefits to support the general health and well-being of their staff. Also, research is beginning to that impact on absence arising from work-related ill health such as work-related stress, musculoskeletal disorders, dermatitis, etc. is significantly higher than the consequences arising from traditional single event accidents at work. That is why management of workplace occupational ill health issues are considered key to reducing ill health absence arising out of work activities. Mental health is regarded as being a significant contributor to sickness absence. Organizations need to put in place processes for assessing and minimizing risk to mental illness, and where an incident is identified, suitable and sufficient care should be made available. Now, presenteeism is the act of attending work while sick or unfit for work and for hours, more hours than is required, causing reduced and or unsafe performance, and the potential for wider ill health issues, and is also now recognized as deleterious to good health. Violence is another occupational health hazard. Violence is defined as any incident in which a person is abused, threatened, or assaulted in circumstances related to their work. Many experience workplace violence from their clients or their customers. Now, a British survey found that many office workers spend much of their working day in a state of irritation with colleagues, and that such conflict often triggers violent reactions. Also, bullying at work can take many forms, such as ignoring or excluding someone, spreading malicious rumors or gossip, humiliating someone in public, giving someone unachievable or meaningless tasks, constantly undervaluing someone's work performance, and cyber nuisance. Harassment relates to discrimination on the grounds of race, gender, disability, age, belief, or religion, or sexual orientation. Therefore, employers should have a policy that enables them to identify these problems, provide appropriate communication channels for problems to be addressed, and put in place impartial and fair systems to address and resolve problems. Alcohol and drug misuse. Now, this is a major cause of workplace absenteeism and impaired performance. At worst, it can be a direct cause of workplace accidents. Example, working with machinery, driving equipment under the influence of drugs or alcohol. It is recommended that employers put in place a policy to address the misuse of alcohol and drugs, such as banning or screening for alcohol or drug misuse. Musculoskeletal disorders. Now, manual handling is a major cause of range of musculoskeletal disorders, MSDs, including back pain and upper limb disorders. Manual handling operations are not restricted to lifting and lowering heavy loads. It can also include pushing, pulling, bending, twisting, reaching, and carrying. So all manual handling operations should be planned given due regard to the risk assessment for the task, and training in manual handling techniques should be provided to employees who undertake manual handling operations. Where possible, mechanical aids should be used. Repetitive strain injuries, RSIs, they commonly manifest themselves as upper limb disorders, ULDs, affecting the arms from fingers to the shoulder and the neck. And one of the primary causes for RSIs for employees is poor workstation design for computer users. That's why analysis of workstations to ensure they are correctly designed and addressing the comfort of the user, such as to adjust the chair, the screen, and give enough space to move freely, as well as the conditions of the immediate environment like lighting levels, glare, reflection should be ensured is provided, and as well as encourage staff to take breaks or change the activity. Noise-induced hearing damage. Now, exposure to noise at work needs to be addressed where employees are required to work near noisy plant or machinery. For anything other than brief periods of time, such as undertaking evaluation and inspection of plant and equipment in a functioning woodworking factory, or being near a noisy operation on a construction site. Lower exposure action value of 80 decibel. At this stage, you need to wear the hearing protection and also provide employees with information, instruction, and training. At the upper exposure action level of 85 decibel, the workplace should be designated as a hearing protection zone, and personal hearing protections should be provided and used by employees within this zone and anyone else entering the zone. And this zone should be also marked with warning signs in the approved format. Now, asbestos is also one of the many very common material used in the building construction and is also a very dangerous hazard. Asbestos fibers, they can cause lung-related disorders, and it can also impair lung function, cause cancers, and death after many years after exposure to the asbestos. That's why every individual should avoid or minimize exposure to asbestos, because risk increases as exposure accumulates over time. Anyone in the vicinity of asbestos containing materials that are being disturbed, for example, by drilling into walls, sanding materials, removing cladding, they may be exposed to the asbestos fibers released from these materials. Now, there is a case study of a health and safety consultant who died in 2007 at the age of 61 from asbestos related lung damage, and he wrote an account of his early working life and how exposure to asbestos had cut short his life. So, when Robert Owen he served as an apprenticeship as a heating engineer. His work involved working with asbestos case pipe insulation materials during the 1960s. He did not have any warnings, neither the employer nor the college gave any training, and he completed his apprenticeship at 21. But 40 years later, he became sick. He went to the doctor, and as soon as he mentioned shortness of breath, he asked about asbestos. So, after X-rays and CT scans, he was diagnosed with mesothelioma on 8th September 2006 and was told that if I lived for 12 months, it would be a bonus. And he died the day after writing this article. So this is what happens after exposure to the asbestos and how it affects a person after many years. Now, some of the hazardous substances also we need to take care, such as cleaning products, bleach, pesticides, solvents, which are used in production processes, and also they can be substances that are byproducts of such processes and naturally occurring substances such as pesticides in use or store, lead paint, dusts, industrial solvents, respirable crystalline silica from the dust, concrete, and engine exhaust fumes and dust from its spores, including molds. So, for hazardous substances, you need to get the consideration of information sheets about the material, which should be procured from the manufacturer or distributor, usually called as material safety data sheets. And then also the working procedures should include provision of information and training for people so they know what the substances they are working with and what harmful effects could be there on them, what are the symptoms of harmful exposure, what's the medical treatment and action to take in event of harmful exposure, and the control measures required to work safely with hazardous substances. Now, a case study is about a housing association who was convicted after a security guard was killed by carbon monoxide poisoning on a construction site. A petrol-powered generator was used inside the site office, and the resulting fumes that the security guard inhaled caused fatal levels of carbon monoxide to accumulate in his blood. And the security guard was a contractor, and the housing association had a duty to keep him safe. And if they had done a proper risk assessment, they had evaluated degree of risk or even taken alternative power sources instead of putting the generator in the site office, they would have not resulted in such an incident. Diseases are also two categories, chronic and zoonosis. Chronic could include exposure to hazardous substances repeatedly or has ongoing exposure. Zoonosis are diseases coming from animals to humans, such as also Legionnaire disease, cooling towers, swimming pools. And different climatic environments have different range of diseases. That's why we need to have appropriate professional advice and also use appropriate PPEs and good personal hygiene as part of health and safety control measures. Lastly, also biosecurity, it's an occupational health issue. It may not have a direct impact on human health, but it's important to many businesses, like when you visit a food premise in areas of storage distribution to avoid contamination of food and transmission of diseases to humans, E. coli, salmonellosis, etc. Food hygiene should be done at hospitals, care homes, clinical waste, used needles, wounds, dressings, etc. are used. So proper PPE, personal hygiene, appropriate disposal is needed to avoid infection or contamination. Then sun protection is we should take account exposure to sunlight. And lastly, occupational hygienist, he can advise more on this kind of occupational health. So that's it, my friends. Thanks for watching and learn one competency a week. Please subscribe.